seconds away on Studio 5.
You are worthy.
Phil Thompson is here with his chart-climbing project, And Then.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky.
Beating fear from the stages of Miss America and American Idol, Jasmine Murray is in Studio 5, and it starts now. And welcome to Studio 5. Phil Thompson is our special guest this week. The recording artist's music is climbing the charts. Let's take a quick listen at some of the tracks from his debut CD as he prepares to sit down for this week's Studio 5 interview.
You shelter me in the shadow of your wings, my home away from home.
We are here with Phil Thompson. The project is called My Worship, your first as a solo artist.
Yes, sir.
Now, why did you opt to go solo? Many people will know you from Ashmont Hill.
Sure. I wrote songs for Ashmont Hill, and I just went through a really difficult season of my life, and the Lord gave me songs throughout the season, and I just felt like they were a little bit more personal, just like storm songs that came out of that season. And when I prayed about it, I just felt the Lord saying to me, solo project, to release it on my own, and so I just compiled a bunch of songs, and right at the end of it, when I thought I had totally finished writing songs and I was kind of getting out of that difficult season, the Lord just dropped this idea on my mind that each person's worship is as unique as their fingerprint. And it just got me thinking about how we're all sum totals of all of these life experiences, but we all have one thing to offer to God that no one can offer Him, and that's our worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Father, receive my worship, all of my worship.
You said that every song was birthed in a storm, if you will, a difficult season. What can you share about that time?
It was just such a difficult time for me, and I was really, really broken. And you know, I was dealing with marital problems, and I had been married for 16 years, and it was really difficult. But you know, the Lord just gave me song after song after song, and these songs would personally get me through. Like there was a season where, like, there's a song called Light the Way on the project, where I would just sit at the piano each night and cry about this and just sing the song and feel uplifted. Father, light, be my present help. Say, oh my God. To just know, like, this impact that the song is having is such a blessing to me, you know, because it really, I felt like the Lord was just giving me these songs to get me through. Yeah. And so, you know, for all of these people to be blessed by it is just it's amazing, you know.
People will be surprised. You've been singing pretty much most of your life, but you didn't start writing songs until you were 30?
Yes.
So new to songwriting.
Yes, absolutely.
At that point. Were you surprised? What triggered writing songs you've been singing all this time?
I was a gym teacher out of college. So I taught PE, was happy with it. And one day I was on the phone with my sister and I was trying to decide between leaving PE and go full-time into real estate because I dabbled in real estate. And she just had preached this message. I'm one of 8 siblings.
And I think all of you are in full-time ministry?
And everyone's in full-time ministry. So 4 pastor their own churches all up the East Coast. And she just happened to talk to me and said, Phil, I preach this message on going back to your first love and remembering what your first love is, to find your purpose, to find what you're passionate about. And she's like, I don't know if you remember, but you used to mess around with that piano, you used to rhyme with people and different things like that. And so she was like, why don't you write a song? And I was 30 years old. I wrote a song and fell in love with it and realized that I had a gift that was dormant in me for this, and taught myself to play instruments just to support it, and just wrote and wrote and wrote, and because I just fell in love with writing songs. Come on, let's sing it out in this place. Here's my worship. Say all of my worship. Receive my worship. All I have I give to you. All of my worship.
My Worship, such a beautiful song. And Phil is preparing to join us again a little later in the show. He's going to perform an acoustic version of his chart-climbing single. Right now, though, we want to take a look at our photo of the week.
It's the end of an era. The 10-story LeBron James banner hanging in downtown Cleveland is coming down again. Following the superstar's announcement he's leaving for a 4-year, $153 million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. By the way, it was also removed back in 2010 when he left Cleveland for Miami. This fading city landmark is our Studio 5 snapshot this week. Still ahead on Studio 5.
I see trees of green and red roses.
That's the voice of a woman hoping to teach others to live fearlessly. Jasmine Murray is here.
And welcome back to Studio 5. Jasmine Murray has quite the resume. She was a finalist on American Idol, Miss Mississippi, and then went on to finish in the top 10 in the Miss America contest. We're headed outside to sit down with the singer and songwriter. Sample this single, though, from her new album as we go to join her. She is this week's Studio 5 One to Watch.
Again. Can't shake them, can't make them ever fade, ever end.
So you compete on American Idol, you compete in the Miss America pageant, do well on both, and then I learned from your song that you struggle with anxiety. I'm like, how?
Everything I've been fighting against, I'm gonna lift it up.
I can remember growing up and it wasn't heavy anxiety growing up. It was just I used to worry a lot here and there, and then it started to really heighten the last few years to where I was actually having panic attacks and just feeling like I was kind of shutting myself out from people, and I was just starting to notice a difference in myself. So you know, with all of those different experiences and opportunities, I've always felt really comfortable on stage. I just love to sing. I love music, and that's my passion. So I feel like that's where I really come alive and feel fearless, I guess.
So literally you are driving to go to a songwriting session and are crippled with anxiety and a panic attack.
I wanna be fearless. No holding back, no backing down. Fearless.
I'm on my way to my session, and I had no idea what I was going to write that day, but I knew who I was writing with, and I was kind of rushing that morning, And I just remember having a panic attack. I'm almost there. I was almost there, and literally just started to feel like I couldn't breathe, and my stomach was hurting, and just feeling totally out of control. And so it was really, really scary, because that was kind of the beginning of me going through this anxiety stuff and the panic attacks and everything. So I really didn't understand it fully, and hadn't shared it with a lot of people. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me get myself together. And I did. I walked into the session, and you know, one of the producers is like, what do you want to write about today? and so I'm like, well, I kind of want to write about fear. Like, I knew it was something that was on my heart, because it was so heavy in my life right at that moment. And they just started praying for me and lifting me up with scripture, and we ended up writing Fearless that day. And so it's a declaration for me and so many other people, I believe, who struggle with anxiety or fear or whatever it is, to know they don't have to be, you know, chained to this struggle, and to know that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones going through it. But God doesn't want us to live our lives that way. He wants us to live bold and unafraid.
That's beautiful. Now, you've got an entire new project. Of course, the world is enjoying Fearless. For those of us who follow you, how would you describe this project?
So this is my first album, and honestly, the last 2.5 years since I moved to Nashville, we have just been writing constantly, as much as possible. So I feel like the Lord just gave me so many different subjects to talk about. He gave me so many different testimonies from my personal experience, from people in the room I was writing with, that just poured into these songs and into these sessions. So a lot of hard work has gone into it, but a lot of, I feel like, hearts have gone into it. And so my heart is in this album. You know, from Fearless to Who You Love. I mean, all of these songs I feel like are very vulnerable for me, because I talk about, you know, my struggles with anxiety. I talk about, you know, giving control to God and just surrendering that to Him, because sometimes as humans we like to do things, you know, our way, and we think that we can. And God is saying, no, that's not how life goes. I'm in control.
Up next in Studio 5. Phil Thompson sheds the band for a Studio 5 acoustic session.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Phil Thompson is preparing for his Studio 5 Sessions performance, but that music you hear right now is recording artist Miranda Curtis. Take a listen to why Open Heaven is what's playing in my ear. There's a river of miracles flowing. Miranda sets up for Phil Thompson, who's back now to perform My Worship. Enjoy this Studio 5 Sessions performance.
Are worthy, and no one can worship you for me. For all the things you've done for me, and no one can worship you for me. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship, and I will not be silent. I will always worship you as long as I am breathing. I will always worship you, and I will not be silent. I will always worship you as long as I am breathing. I will always worship you. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship.
Up next in Studio 5.
You don't have to strive to be anything other than who you already are.
We're checking in again with Jasmine Murray, who has a lesson for her younger self and you as well.
We're almost out of time for this episode, so here's what we're working on for you for next week.
Well, I know my Redeemer lives.
Nicole C. Mullen takes a break from the stage.
Everything you've heard from me prior to has been out of my night season. This is the first fruits of my day.
For this candid conversation in Studio 5.
This life within me cries, I know my Redeemer lives.
The Songbird is opening up about life, love, and lessons learned along the way.
That spins things in orbit.
That's next week. As for the final word for this show, we're giving that to Jasmine Murray, who I asked what advice she would give her younger self.
You know, I think I would tell her that you are enough. Because I know for a fact that's something I've struggled with, just self-worth and understanding, you know, where my worth comes from. It's from God, you know, it's not from anything that I can do or say or anything, it's from Him. He paid a price for all of us. So I think I would tell her that you are enough, that you don't have to strive to be anything other than who you already are, which is a daughter of the King, and you're a servant for God. And so to just rest in that, and to live your life knowing that, and not to try to be anything other than that.
You are enough. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5. Remember, the show continues on Instagram and Facebook, and you can always reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. Hope you'll come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.